Okay, today we're going to talk about changing the subject. Very similar principle to solving for an equation, in that we isolate one of the terms. For example 1, I want to make x the subject. Okay, in other words, I want to rearrange the equation so that the equation starts with x equals, so I'm going to shift everything over to the other side. So, example 1, I'm trying to get x by itself. Don't forget, at the moment, judging by this equation, we've got a seesaw that's in perfect balance. And if I add a weight to one side, I have to add the same weight to the opposite side. Or if I subtract a weight from one side, I have to subtract the same weight from the opposite side. In this case, I'm going to shift 3y by subtracting it the same amount from both sides. It's brilliant because it actually cancels that 3y from the left hand side, and I'm left with 7x equals d minus 3y. You'll know that in here is multiplication, and you hopefully know that to undo multiplication you use division. So to get x by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 7. Brilliant, that 7's cancelled, and my solution is x equals d minus 3y all over 7. And that's making x the subject. Okay, my next example here, AZ is equal to B over C. However, in this case, I want Z to be the subject. In other words, my new equation will start with Z equals. When there's nothing written between two terms, you assume it's multiplication, or you know it's multiplication. To undo z times a, we should divide both sides by a to undo, or if you like, cancel out the multiplication of a. So I divide both sides by a. Solution, z equals b over c divided by a. Watching closely, I'm going to turn a into a fraction. A as a fraction is a over 1, because anything divided by 1 is just itself. Keep watching. B over c, or divided by a over 1, is the same thing as b over c times 1 over a. It's called, we describe that in mathematics as multiplying by the reciprocal. If you multiply along the top line, 1 times b, you get b. If you multiply along the bottom line, you get ac, or ca. And that's my solution there. If you wrote your solution like this, it is not wrong, but in mathematics we try and write things as simply as we can, and this looks neater than this does. So preferably you would write it like that, b over ac. Okay, in this equation I'm going to make z the subject. You'll note that z is on both sides of the equation, and I really want to be able to cancel one of those z's, so I end up with z on just one side of the equation. yesterday I told you to look which side has more z's or more x's and work the x's or the z onto the side with the most x's or the most z's, and it doesn't matter whether you can see this or you can't, there are actually more z's on this side. If you can't see that, you'll end up with the correct answer, except you'll have to take another step in your working, which is fine. So I'm going to try and collect z's on my right hand side of the equation. So I'm going to multiply, to undo this division by z, I'm going to multiply both sides by z. Okay, if I do the same thing to both sides, we're still stuck in equilibrium or a balanced seesaw. By multiplying by z, I get to cancel that division by z, and on the left hand side I'm left with just m, and on the right hand side I'm left with z squared, not 2z, z squared, because z times z is z squared. And on the bottom of the fraction I've still got a minus b. Okay, it's already looking more handleable, more easy. I'm just going to stick brackets here, and that's because you would always work out the subtraction and then do the division later. If you think about, if I put numbers into it, 5 divided by 4 minus 2, you would go 4 minus 2 and then do the division. So you have to do the addition or the subtraction first before you do the division. Hence I just put brackets here. To undo a minus b, it's on the bottom of a fraction, I'm going to multiply, because to undo division we multiply, and I'm going to multiply by that whole term, both sides. That cancels that out. Now on my right hand side I've just got z squared. On the left hand side I'm just going to put the m in front, as it's just more conventional. I've got m bracket a minus b. How do we undo a term squared? How do you undo squares? Square root. Okay, if you take 4 and you square 4, you get 16. If you take the square root of 16, you get back to 4. So what I'm going to do to both sides is take the square root. Do that to both sides. That will leave me just z on the right hand side, and as it's written on the left hand side. And that's my answer. Z is now the subject of the equation. Bit of a tricky one, but not impossible.